Hey, this is David Hayter. You may know me as the screenwriter of films like X-Men, X-Men 2, and Watchmen, but you probably know me best as the voice of Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. And you're listening to Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. Kept you waiting, huh?
The Kasanova Podcast, the #1 podcast in Hawaii, is brought to you by these contributors on Patreon. If you'd like to see more content like this more often, as well as more podcast reviews, impressions, early access releases, live streams, and original content, then consider becoming a patron today. Welcome everyone to another episode of Hawaii's #1 podcast, the Kasanova Podcast. I'm your host, Mekel Kasanova, and I've got the honor and the privilege of having the one, the only Nguyen, who is the founder of and CEO of Trusted Voice. Go ahead and introduce yourself. How's it going? Plug yourself. Where can people find you?
Well, I always like to make myself relatable. It's like, shout out to anyone who loves fried chicken, because I love fried chicken and organized fried chicken parties. And, I remember Hawaii, and you guys love your spam, I have to say. So I wonder what spam and fried chicken tastes like right now. So I founded the Trusted Voice a year ago as a part of the pre-seed funding for a startup. And before that, and always, I'm a content creator and a storyteller. And I'm honored also to be part of this podcast with you.
Awesome. And where can people find you on social media, and plug your websites as well? And
okay,
I'll leave links to everything in the description of the podcast.
Awesome. My personal one is easy. It's String Story Over, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram stories, Instagram, Twitter. That's a good one. And website wise, if you want to know how to create content and build your brand better, or market yourself better, if you're a leader, entrepreneur, content creator that just want to market yourself better online, check out the trustedvoice.co.
Awesome. And to give the audience a bit of a background on how you and I came to get in contact with each other was actually D-Rock from he works with Gary Vaynerchuk. So that was awesome, how we got to get connected that way.
Yeah, I love D-Rock. He's actually really authentic. He actually filmed me interviewing Gary V with my mobile phone when I was in Hong Kong.
Wow, you got to interview Gary V.
Yeah, I literally stayed outside. I knew he was coming, so I sent him a tweet because he reads. He consumes everything, especially Twitter. He consumes. He doesn't respond, but he consumes. I don't know why I know this, but I just know it. And so he consumes all his content. He doesn't really respond. But I sent a video tweet, because I know that will pop out. And then I staked outside the main entrance of that conference, because he hasn't come through yet. And then he literally came through and it's hey, Gary, I sent you a tweet. Can I have 5 minutes of your time to interview you? And bang, I got I literally just asked him about racism and sexism or something like that. And that went viral, because that was never a conversation that he gets a lot as well. And it's actually sitting on my YouTube channel, because it's I guess a brand asset piece where everyone recognizes him. So it's kudos to D-Rock for filming my YouTube video.
Wow, that is awesome. And that's so rare. Getting it, any opportunity to interview Gary Vaynerchuk is very, very rare. So kudos to you for having that. That is freaking awesome.
I came prepared and mentally prepared.
So you're the founder of companies such as Trusted Voice, as well as you did String Story Media as well. What has it been like, not only creating those brands, but being an entrepreneur and, the content creator journey? How is that for you?
Well, I feel like because I guess we have something similar, you and I. We have an immigrant background or immigrant parents. So in many ways, I'm wondering if English is my second language because I also have moments of doubt of talking properly. But I realized but people kept on talking to me, older people, smart people, just because I'm super curious about what they had to say and their knowledge as well. And I asked really good questions, I guess. But I realized I could comprehend a lot of complexities and able to communicate it really well just because of these barriers or strengths, I call them now. And I realized that what's holding me back is myself because I had all these opportunities and doors that opened to me. And I kept on talking to really smart people, CEOs, founders. So they must give me time or they must see something in me to give their time. But I had to go through the tall poppy syndrome, the imposter syndrome. I had to go through that. And to do that, I had to go to America because Australia doesn't like it when you become too successful. But I think that's our own barriers. Yeah, maybe it's a larrikin attitude or the way we have the convict attitude, but they push people down.
It sounds very similar to how it is here in Hawaii. Well, some parts of the U.S. as well, but yeah, Hawaii has a very similar push down. If you become too successful, people don't like that.
Yeah, but also I'm surprised I don't get a lot of haters and things like that because I'm all about positive vibes and creative vibes. And what I realize is you just need to learn how to cultivate and recognize haters and just push them out of your circle because you don't need them in your own space because it ruins your frequency of creativity as well. So what I realized is that I think my first barrier of content creation on my pathway to being a content creator is me going on LinkedIn. Me going on Meerkat. Have you heard of Meerkat? So
no,
Meerkat is before Periscope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It was that long. It was 5 years ago. So I'm surprised it was 5 years ago. Anyway, Meerkat is a mobile live streaming platform. And within 6 months, I grew from 44,000 followers, was a top 20 creator, top 20 worldwide, number one in Australia or Asian Pacific and stuff like that. And I was able to monetize using Bitcoin. And if I saved my Bitcoin then and didn't spend it all, I would be rich. But I didn't realize it was supposed to be a whole, I don't know. Anyway, it was crazy that time. But a lot of Bitcoins and startup people kept on talking to me and I was able to go very meta on Meerkat really quickly. And I realized the way to success is very meta. You have to talk about the platform on the platform. So people want to know podcasting about podcasting, YouTube on YouTubing, LinkedIn on LinkedIn, Meerkat on Meerkat. And that's how you get connected with all these other influencers, content creators, and build your audience. But really, it's building a channel, creating consistent content, understanding your community and your audience, and showing up and just being yourself. And showing up but being yourself, being awkwardly yourself, is the secret to personality and charisma. Because you don't need to be too polished. You just need to be authentically awkward, I think.
And that's one of the things, because you and I, we both do YouTube as well. And it's quite often I'll have other YouTubers, both huge ones and smaller ones, that'll come to me for advice on certain things. And especially the smaller creators, I like to tell them often, create content that you would enjoy, but also make sure it's you. Don't try to be a cheap copy of someone else, because I know it's so easy to I want to be case in point, I'm friends with Harris Heller. A lot of people be I want to be like Harris Heller, or I want to be like Ashton Christ or someone like that. And it's cool, but take aspects of something that they do that you like and try and incorporate that into who you are. Don't try to be inauthentically someone else, and that's a struggle for a lot of people.
And Meerkat kind of taught me a lesson as well, that 2 lessons actually. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah,
it died. I should have like switched over to YouTube at that time. And if I created content and portfolio of my presence or something like that, I probably would monetize. It's only now did I start. And then I went on to Snapchat, and I realized like my audience kept on following me. And to this day, I kept on getting messages like, I remember you on Meerkat. I'd love to talk to you about LinkedIn, because that's what, like, my bread and butter right now. It's like LinkedIn, not YouTube, because very few people know how to like do LinkedIn marketing properly as a content creator. So I realized like YouTube, now I have to niche my content to be LinkedIn orientated, because I've been watching all these LinkedIn marketers or LinkedIn videos and they know shit. But that's my arrogance as well. This is my arrogance as well. It's like, damn it, I need to create, because I know how to create good content. I'm beginning to understand YouTube right now. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready now. But the hardest thing, and with any content creators out there, is just finding that cadence to create. Yeah. And YouTube is just a totally different ballgame, because they love long form. And at the moment, my shitty live streams, like they go for 20 minutes or 30 minutes, are getting more retention watch time. So I'm focused more on watch time. So it's like, okay, I can't do highly polished products right now because I'm still in the beginning stages. So I'm just going to do live streaming and hook up my YouTube and my LinkedIn at the same time. And then slowly work on my polished products or my polished videos at the same time. But I'm just going to do weekly streams now, just because I need to grow that audience.
Yeah. And especially on YouTube, like, you know, for me, I switched over to doing a lot more of like live streaming content, because I started seeing a trend that, you know, when you do more live, not only does it draw in more people, it also helps you build like a one-to-one relationship with your audience, which I feel like on YouTube for the longest, like that was something that you kind of had to, you know, either if people would watch your video and then go and interact with you on Discord or Twitter or other social media platforms. But like when you do a long form stream, you get that interaction. Like a lot of my, I don't want to say like loyal followers or anything like that, but people who really, really enjoy my content, like they discovered me through when I do long form streaming. You know, if it's a long stream of a podcast or an interview, or if it's me doing like a how-to video, like how to get like a better mic or how to use a Go XLR or whatever, like I found that streaming has helped me grow exponentially on YouTube. You know, I went from 1,000 subs on YouTube a year ago in January to within like a month later, I jumped to like 8,000, and then I went to 9,000 and 10,000. It just kept going up and up, and it's like streaming is such like, and I'm learning this. It's becoming more popular on LinkedIn too. Like it's crazy.
Well, like they're not very good. This is my arrogance talking again. It's just because I only say this because maybe like there's something in me that says like, no, you have to start over again. And I'm doing it because like 3 years ago, I got access to LinkedIn videos and I see that wave. And that's how like I was able to exponentially grow. It's because that I realized that, I'm onto something and I have to ride that wave. And that's how you grow as well, just finding that growth of opportunities. And LinkedIn, like YouTube is super hard. It's like I call it the long-term game. But once you build a portfolio and there's a tipping point that happens as well. So I'm being very patient with YouTube right now, but on LinkedIn, it's all about short form. It's like a shit version of Facebook.
Oh, wow.
It's pretty brutal that I said that, right? It's because the user experience is not that great. And there's a lot of like 620 million users that are professionals. Yeah. And they're all experts and professionals who don't know how to tell stories or communicate or create content. So if you're a content creator, and if you have expertise, those two things are super powerful on LinkedIn right now. And I realized like not everyone has LinkedIn Live again. And so I'm like pushing live on a weekly basis. And just like every time I do a stream, I'm bringing a new wave of audience who can relate to me and follow my journey. But every time I do a stream, I'm like improving one thing at a time, whether it be lighting, whether it be the mic, whether it be my setup. I'm just improving one thing. And now I'm integrating OBS because I realized like I couldn't, you know what's crazy? Like the fact that I can't find any like Elgato 4K USB. I can't find that. Like, it's like toilet paper. It's triple the price on eBay right now. Like, any cameras, webcams, everything, anything to do with content creation tools is gone.
Yeah. It like that within the last couple of weeks.
Yes, because I was looking at it like buying one and it was available, and then it's all of a sudden it's gone, and it's like, oh shit, I have to, like, you know, people want to create, but even when you get all these tools in production, you still need a bit of flair to like add character or add to a sense of interest into that. So I know that I have an edge compared to all the professionals on LinkedIn. It's because I'm doing something even harder. I'm talking one-on-one with people, not even having interviews. It's just because I just want to test out this format and build up my skill sets and show that like that I have a point of difference on LinkedIn, and doing it the hard way, not even with like other people. It's just me and them.
Wow. And you know, also to touch on LinkedIn, because you know, I know Gary Vee has been saying a lot, like, you know, using TikTok, using LinkedIn. These are stuff that if you're a content creator, you know, you should be on those platforms. And I know, you know, a lot of Twitch streamers and a lot of, you know, YouTube content creators and people on Mixer, like a lot of content creators are not realizing the value of LinkedIn. And you know, I've got one friend, Luis Alamila. He's very, very successful content creator, and he whatever he puts up on Twitter, he'll modify it for LinkedIn. And I remember having a conversation with him a couple months ago. I'm like, why are you doing that? He's like, it's a gold mine and people aren't using it. And I was like, oh, well, let me experiment with it. And then when I started making like 1 minute or 2 minute clips of my podcast with highlights, I started seeing a lot of growth from that. And then it's like, I'm wondering, like, why are people not
That's because it's because, like, again, people don't see the value of LinkedIn because they still think it is a resume platform, but it's a content creation platform. And it's still a gold mine for people. And it's still empty. There's a lot of gold to be digged on LinkedIn right now. And I still have access to being, and I guess like some context here, I grew like literally from 0 to 40,000 almost now in a matter of like 3 years or less. And I'm like the top 300 worldwide creator recognized by LinkedIn, because I got within 2.5 years, I was like recognized as the top voice 3 times, which is given to the best creators on LinkedIn, right? And it's just been like providing excellence and providing value, like original content too. It's not like anyone else's content. And a lot of times, like I notice, like I'm jumping on podcasts, like people give me the assets, but if I don't like the content or if I think the cut is not great, I won't push it.
Yeah.
And I think I have that right as well to do that.
No. That's something I definitely agree with. Like, you know, especially like not pushing it in a sense, because there's some people that I'm not sure if you've also had this experience too. Like, people would want you to like go on their podcast, but then you look at their content and you're like, I don't know if I want to put my brand next to that.
Oh, you know, someone asked me to do, I love her. Not nicest person, and that's like probably like a lead up to something as well. But I don't want to put my recommendations like advertising for me. And any recommendations would like have that a value of $10,000. It's because it's me promoting them, but we haven't done any partnership besides me jumping on her podcast. And so I'm wondering how to like word it in a way without hurting feelings. But I thought like maybe I should just be really frank about it and just like, hey, at the moment I'm treating it like advertising, so I can't do that. But I'm happy to promote your podcast on your next episode and stuff. So I think what I need to do is like say no, but offer something else.
Oh yeah, I mean that's an effective method. I would say you could definitely use, because I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it, because you have to protect your brand, you know, and that's something that I wish more content creators, you know, like would understand, and kind of like we do. Like, you can't just slap anything onto your brand or jump onto anything, and it's like, for instance, the whole my response to D-Rock. Like I got a response from you. I got a response from many other people. And you're the only one that I was like, let's schedule and talk something. Like, just because when I looked at everyone else, I'm like, there's a lot of self-promoting for other people. And I was like, what value, especially when it comes to like this podcast, like here, I want it to be a podcast where people can learn and they can gain context and value and apply it to their lives or their business or their content. And you were the only one who responded that I was like, I need to talk to her. I need to get her on the show. Like everyone else is.
You know what? That was I'm pretty grateful. And I got a few people asking me to jump onto their podcast as well. Mm-hmm. And I saw that and I saw it's like very small. It's like, that doesn't see any brand alignment. And so for me, like, you're right. Like a lot of people don't really protect their brand properly, maybe because they're starting out or they don't know what their values are or their vision is. So they don't know what to protect if they don't know who they are first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very true. And it's a process. Like there are companies out here, or not really both. There are companies out here in Hawaii and stuff that I've done like occasional partnerships with, but I've had to have conversations with them later on because they're like, oh yeah, Mekel endorses our brand. I'm like, no, I have worked with you. There's a difference.
Yeah, I think like the way the worded is also very important as well. So that's just you protecting your brand now.
Yeah.
Respect.
So how, in your opinion, how important is utilizing social media and marketing for your brand? If you're a content creator or a startup business or an entrepreneur, how imperative? Because it seems like a lot of people are missing the value of that.
Okay, here's the concept of why I like social media.
Okay,
it's your channel. Like no one owns your voice, your channel, but also it's just one distribution channel, right? Mm-hmm. It increases the touch points for people to come and talk to you.
Yeah.
That's probably what it is. And a lot of times, like what I realized like throughout my journey and just in the last couple of days, that people want permission to reach out to talk to you.
Yeah.
And so fried chicken is that, LinkedIn is that, video is that, like people still like, it's kind of like word of mouth as well. So then it's also people who adore you, your fans, and people who really like what you do, they'll refer you as well. So then that's like every day I'm counting how many fried chicken references I do, whether I do it or people send fried chicken stories to me or give me gifts. Like this is a gift from a friend because he thought about me. So I know the brand is working just because like how does fried chicken is related to social media? It isn't, but it's just like a planting of a brand anchor for people to think about me. So you need to use social media to like be top of mind, but also increase the touch points of communications with your prospects, with your audiences as well. And, like if you're starting out, like what I notice is that, and a lot of experts do this really, like, they want to be everywhere. And if they work with big companies or big teams, they think they have to do everything. But they just need to like own one primary channel and learn how to do it properly, because then you learn how to understand what his cadence is, what his good content is, what your voice is, what your like style is, like, and then really understand that a lot of like platforms have very similar things in place, but owning one channel will like help you rapidly move across different channels as well.
I'm one of my friends, actually he's in Australia, and he's the head of Go-To-Game, and one of my partners. He said the same thing you just said. Like, you don't need to be across every single platform. Like, have that one, and have it so well done that it opens doors. And it's so crazy how I need to go to Australia. You guys are
come. We love to have you. It's Brisbane is similar to Hawaii, and Melbourne's very European, and Sydney is very much like New York with beaches, something like that.
Wow. I never even thought of it being. It's within those 3 different areas. Is that radically different?
It is, and also like we have beautiful rainforests, and if you want to go and it's just like that's what we're known for. But people think it's beaches, but if you go to Melbourne, it's like a lot of about it's art and culture and food.
All right. So let's talk about you. Like let's talk about what your passions, like what motivates you. What are things that keep you going as a young entrepreneur? So what's your story? Let's talk about it.
I'm scared of being poor, man. That's also the truth though. Like I don't want to be poor again, but I feel like because I lived in like a commission flats, which is like the low. What's the version of your low? Like a low socioeconomic place, right? I remember like I lived in like an 8-tall building, and there was a park, and there was a lot of drugs going around there. But I didn't see it as much, and there was a lot of like people showing their like opening up their clothes and stuff like that to young kids. Like that's the type of area that I lived in when I was as a kid. And I didn't really like. I think, despite all of that, I had a really happy childhood because I was super close to my family and family. Like I had like 4 siblings, like 3 brothers and a sister, and we did this thing where we thought like if we turn on the TV, the cartoon will stay on that TV channel, and then when we come back we will watch it again. I remember like having those like silly things with like conversations with my siblings and stuff, and we played with each other, and I was the biggest tomboy, and my brother was super proud. He let me play soccer with him, which is unusual, right? But that's because we were 11 months apart, and I would like dribble the ball, steal balls and stuff. And I think I used being a girl as advantage because like guys don't want to hurt me and stuff like that. So I took advantage of that. But I was probably the best girls player or soccer player anyway, because I was really strong in defense, and I was also I don't give up. So that's just like one aspect of my childhood. But I probably say like my favorite memory of in primary school is just hanging out in the library. We didn't have Google back then. No, we didn't.
The young generation, they're like, what? Yes. There was a time.
We didn't have Google back then, but I had a lot of thirst for knowledge. And I read a lot. I read romance novels. I read Greek mythology, psychology. Like, this is when I was 12. The library was like my Google. And I think that was kind of where my thirst and curiosity came from. Is just like I want to know as much as possible, and I became even best friends with a librarian in my high school because I just wanted to know stuff. So it was just like that's just me. Like I'm a total geek, And I think I hid that part of me when I was in high school and when I got a little bit older because I thought that knowledge is not something to be shared or knowledge should be hidden, especially as a girl and stuff. So I had a lot of these like imposter syndromes in place, but I had a really happy childhood.
Nice. And we actually have a very similar background. And I used to do the same thing when I was a kid too. It's like just go to the library all the time and just read and learn. It not only did it help me with my English, but it also helped me expand, beyond where I was, when I was growing up, both in Western Samoa and then when we moved to the United States. Reading is so imperative, and I really highly recommend, to the audience especially, like always be reading, always be learning, because you never stop learning at all.
Yeah, we don't learn any. I don't stop at all. I feel like I'm learning more, but I'm actually a better student now because I'm applying to the things that I care about.
Wow. Okay, random question. What time is it there in Australia?
It's 9:50, and in 10 minutes I have a call. So I'm actually enjoying this conversation too. So I'm like, damn it, I should have left like a bit of a like that meeting at another time.
Oh no! We definitely need to do this again. but to be respectful of your time, one of the things like I definitely want to ask you is, you had mentioned before that Alpha Game is one of your mentors for improving the quality of your streams on LinkedIn. Like, what are some of the reasons that you enjoy Harris's brand and style, and have you met him?
No, I haven't.
I need to connect you guys.
So it's weird because you learn from the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then his quality stood out because it's like I could tell that he just wants to improve one thing over another. And watching other YouTubers who gave homage to him, and he's like, "Oh, why didn't I do the same thing as he did?" And I kind of repeated what she said as well. But anyway, I felt because I was learning streaming, and remember how LinkedIn has really boring streams, and it's I need to apply some gaming attitude into my streams, and that just gives it that quality and that ambience. I'm looking for the ambience as well, because people forget, you create the environment, and so he stood out really well for me in terms of the way he talked about content and the way he educates people. He just wants to level people up, and I love that. And I'm applying it to it, and he just makes it easy, but he's also entertaining to watch. I do feel sometimes I wish he goes a little bit more deeper, but with the way YouTube it is, you have to keep it at mid-level to be very wide audience. Otherwise, if you go too niche or too deep, you lose people. So I understand that, but he's I'm just learning from him, because he's able to do YouTube and streaming properly, and I thought for me that's just a win-win situation. So I'm just learning from gaming techniques and applying to LinkedIn, because that's how I do things. It's apply really good techniques into other platforms, and LinkedIn is a goldmine. No one's doing things properly. It's not not doing things properly. It's just they're just creating, but not thinking about things. They're just creating and not thinking about excellence. They're just creating because they just need to be out there. But I noticed after a while, people just stagnate because they haven't added value or added that extra step of growing and becoming more excellent as content creators. And people don't realize it. After a while, you just you become like this if you stop growing.
Yeah. With I wish we had more time. Okay,
I'd love to have another conversation with you.
Yeah, we need to. I need to have you back on the show, because I really want to deep dive into LinkedIn hashtags. I'll throw two last questions at you, but
yes.
Hashtags. Do you need to use that on LinkedIn?
A little bit, but it's spammy when you have too much of it, right?
Okay.
And you probably just need to do your own hashtag so people could find you. And if you want a little bit of exposure, it's just because a lot of people are creating it, so you just need to find what's the relevant one. Trending is really easy if you just get a bit of at least 5,000, 10,000 views on your posts and stuff. But it's just I just do it just mostly just to brand myself, because I want people to click onto it and read more of my content and follow that. But you could follow hashtags, but I feel it's a bit nebulous right now. It's just it doesn't help you with discovering.
Okay. And final question is, what would you like to leave the audience with today?
Action.
Because we're gonna have you back on.
Yeah. Action makes progress. Action makes success. Okay. Do one thing you could what is holding you back. Don't worry about what's holding you back. Just do that one thing and do it again tomorrow, and then the next day. Then improve on one thing. Improve on one thing and don't stop.
Okay. I lied. I actually have one final question for you. Did you have fun?
Yeah, of course. That's why I'm regretting too that it's so short now. It feels like the conversation we had just went by fast.
Yeah, I know, right? We definitely need to have you back on the show whenever you're available. I will clear the schedule and we'll have you back on again. And I definitely want you back on the show. But tell people where they can find you again.
String Story. I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm a small channel, small creator on YouTube. But watch me grow. This is just me, understanding the games of social videos and stuff.
Cool. And I'll leave links to all your social media outlets as well as your website and your YouTube channel down in the description below this podcast. You'll be able to catch this podcast and every other podcast on the following outlets: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and also on YouTube. And if you want to support the content we do here, the content that streams the podcast, interviews, behind the scenes, and more, and consider becoming a Patreon on patreon.com/Mekel Kasanova. With that being said, this is String and Mekel. We are signing out. We hope you guys have a great one. And aloha and mahalo. Hey, did you enjoy this episode of the Kasanova Podcast? Well, I'm sure you did. And since you did, and you're wondering where else you can find it on every podcasting outlet. Yes, that includes Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Launchpad DM by Podcast One, and so much more. And the only thing I ask of you is if you truly enjoyed it, even if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a rating and tell us what you thought of it, what you like, what you didn't like, and everything in between. And also, if you're looking for video formats of this podcast and many more, you'll be able to find them on youtube.com/Mekel Kasanova, as well as on twitch.tv/Mekel Kasanova, and new episodes every single Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, with that being said, this is Mekel Kasanova, Hawaii's favorite YouTuber. I am signing out. You guys have a great one.